Futures trading involves risk and is not suitable for all investors. Content provided in this segment is meant for educational purposes and is not a solicitation to buy or sell commodities.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Tech Talk. I am Cody. He is Andy. Together, we make the Tech Talk team. Andy, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Paige, if you'd please timestamp the video, it is 3:53 Eastern Time, 2:53 Central Time on Wednesday, the 10th.
So we've got some charts we have to circle back on, right?
We're circling back on June Class 3.
Yeah, we're circling back, except for the June Class 3. I don't think we looked at June Class 3 last time, but we're going to look at it because that thing is going to start moving the needle here pretty soon. So a couple things. Weren't we kind of peeking at this this whole little RSI, relative strength index? Pointing to, it's basically what this does is it kind of it forecasts oversold and overbought areas. So this blue line here, when it gets down to when it breaks below the blue line, it's indicating that the market's potentially oversold, with the buy indication being that once it breaks through that and then comes back above the blue line, that's like a buy indicator, right? So we saw that today. Right, it had been kind of putting around this blue line. Now it's starting to get away from it, right? And so what that indicates is that June Class 3 got into oversold territory and is now coming out of it. Interestingly enough, we had a pretty good rally today. I mean, Chiefs is up a little bit, not a ton.
Right.
And futures are already carrying a bit of a premium in June. It starts pricing next week, doesn't it?
Yes, that is correct.
So I got 1572 with no premiums using May way. We have 1721 last year to price. So yeah, I mean, if you look at current, again, just using May way, it's around here. Obviously, you'd want to bake in some premiums for NDPSR and check out bases loaded for that, by the way, with Joe. But it like you're still in this downtrend, right? We haven't moved this channel that we drew. Shoot, I mean, you got out of this. The RSI is kind of telling you that it's a little bit of a buy here. I don't think you want to get long per se, but I think it's opening itself up to, if you're looking to sell into a rally, I think it can come here and still be, in a downtrend. Let's say we go and trade like 17 and a half. So another 30, 40 cents from here, you're still in this downtrend.
And I think recently, I mean, the past couple of days, we got down to where we were on the second there on that big wick. And we had a slight rally, right? About 2 days worth, and then kind of fell apart again. So I would just want to be kind of cognizant of that going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Just watching out for that same kind of slight bump in the market to maybe settle in ourselves a little softer.
Yeah. And we've also seen some pretty good volume taking place here too over the last. You're looking back at the beginning of the month. If you just take May 1, the volume has certainly picked up. What I think will also be interesting too is that you've got a momentum, like this momentum indicator is still negative right here, this first one. And so what that's indicating is that the sellers, there's like, if you look at the last 12, in this case, 12 periods, 12 days, sellers are still more or less in control, meaning the price is still lower than the previous 12 days.
Yep.
So if this crosses zero and into positive territory, that means you will have left a lot of selling behind, new volume, new selling, and the market will have cleared this oversold territory. And you can see a bit of a short covering rally. That's my opinion. I think you see a short covering rally here still, and if we get up against this upper end of this channel, especially with the pricing next week, maybe an opportunity to start selling something, but we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. We'll circle back on it.
Coming back.
But it is moving the needle. What's the next one? We got some charts to come back to. Bam, Nov Feeders.
Hey.
Now, did the hammer buy this one? I can't remember.
It did. You know why? Because exactly what you had said, it started to come to fruition. I remember last time we looked at this, coming into the fourth wave, you said if it drops to 230, it is probably a buy right there. Okay, we got a little bit lower than there, around 228, but still, Andy, you were correct on this one.
Well, I don't know. I guess a blind squirrel gets a nut every once in a while. So
if it works, it works.
Well, we didn't move this line, right? And this is basically what this is. It's the fifth, and typically it's characterized as an exhaustion wave. So if we were to break out from this area, right? So this is kind of be the next like test. We get to 236, and really you should be taking that and putting it right there, basically. But you get this if we're able to break out from this area, that's 236 and some change. I would look for this exhaustion wave to happen. These are usually pretty quick. And what I mean by that is you see like big candles like this one over here, right? So you get there in a short amount of time, right? We had a big rally here that a nice healthy rally that took place over the course of a month and a half. I wouldn't expect that. I would expect big candles like this, short amount of time, volume probably to be a lot with open interest declining. If we see a lot of volume and open interest starts declining, that is a big warning sign that the market is getting exhausted. People are blowing out, and you're not getting new buying up at this. Like, let's say we do go up over 240 and open interest starts to decline. That's not new buying. That's unhealthy. So interestingly enough, what also kind of strikes out to me is, let's say we start to see kind of like an ascending triangle right here. And so
Yeah.
what that is that you basically get smaller and smaller bodies. Well, you still bump up against the same high. That is typically like a bullish continuation. So we shall see. But
Absolutely.
I think you clear this price. Let's just say you get a 237 close. Yikes. This close was 236 and some change. This one was 236 and a half, basically. So yeah, 237 close. I think you get that exhaustion wave. That'd be fifth wave. Fifth wave. Whoops.
Okay.
We got to rip through these, right? Isn't that what Paige is telling us?
That's right.
Let's go.
She's busy.
Rip it. What do you think? Spot non-fat. What are we doing here? What are we doing?
Looks like you were correct on the rounding outlier that we talked about last week.
So I think I know it's kind of a broken record, but I think the big story here is the continued volume in the NDPSR. It's just been massive.
Right.
I think in the last 6 weeks or so, like we've seen record volume twice.
Check out Bases Loaded, Joe Schmidt.
Check out Bases Loaded with Joe Schmidt. If you
Give
like
him a like, give him a follow.
If you like shows with bald guys, you like tech talk, you're gonna love Bases Loaded. Make sure you get sunscreen on that dome, by the way. You don't want unless you're wearing like a bandana or something like that. Do you do that when you're riding your motorcycle, by the way?
I do. I actually get some terrible tan lines, which I can't believe you can't see them right now, but I got burnt this weekend.
Terrible tan lines. That sounds like a garage band you started in high school or something like that. The terrible tan lines. Anyways, yeah. No, my opinion here hasn't changed. You're getting a huge amount of volume that's taking shape. You've got this nice U bottom that's starting to take shape. You crossed over what was a clear downtrend. You've got the momentum, or excuse me, RSI is telling you it got oversold and is now back into it. And I think the big indicator will be when this guy right here, should this thing cross zero and start to be positive. I mean, like I said, this has not been positive since April 1 of 2022, which means that you haven't had over the last 12 weeks. It's always been lower relative to the last 12 weeks, this market. So I still think that, once that starts to round itself out and you get continued big volume, that we're due for a nice, healthy retracement.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, last week, previous to that also, you're talking $140, which is where we kind of have it drawn here too.
Yeah, 135, 140, right? And it's I feel like that's a price where, fundamentally it may not make a ton of sense, but we've seen this market do things that don't make a ton of sense sometimes. Right? And I think it could be as simple as you're seeing a ton of volume, sellers back off, and what's, now as a buyer, like what are they looking at in terms of like, what's my potential downside here? From $1.90, obviously there was a lot of room, right? But when you start talking about $1.10 and the NAS or NDPSR is printing a ton of volume like this, people are clearly in line buying it. Like you can try to squeeze that extra nickel. Like I think that starts to come into play a little bit. But yeah, technically though, again, broke out of a big downtrend, having a nice rounding here, getting some of the momentum that's telling you it was oversold and now coming out of it. I think this crossing of zero would be a big deal. And I think once we do that, we start to go. And this number becomes, I think, very possible.
For sure.
So we'll circle back. Put a pin in it. Put a pin in it. Pin it. All right. Last one. Your favorite. What are you thinking here, boss?
Is that some Dec Corn? What is that? What is that shaping up to look like to you, Andy?
How do you spell winner?
I was going to say nothing spells winner like starting with a W.
Starting with the big, nothing spells winner like starting with a W. How else do you spell winner?
I think what's very interesting to me, and I kind of noticed this morning, and ever since we had talked about it last time, is that the big down day that we had. What is that? The 3rd? You had a low of
right here.
Yep, left, right to you. The big, keep going.
Right
on the 3rd, right there. Yep.
Okay, that's the 2nd, but that's fine.
Jeez, one over.
Right here.
Thank you. Okay.
Green is up.
There, green is up. All right, so you had a low of 512.5. Today we had a low of 512.25.
Oh, look at that, Richard.
The price did not want to stay down there at 512. Just did not like it whatsoever.
Interesting. Yeah. No, that's an excellent spot.
And it seems to really, really be shaping up nicely for a little W formation here for us.
And I think we can characterize this bad boy as a hammer. Right? So Oh, do you have the hammer up, by the way? Where is that thing?
Looks kind of the same.
Looks, oh, it does look very similar.
Looks
For
one and the
those of you
same.
at
So
home that are
with
looking
that,
for
while the
what a
hammer's
hammer
out,
looks
Dec Corn is a buy. That was loud. All right. Now that's over.
now that that's over. Yeah, no, hammer is characterized as, well, so a hammer typically occurs after, you have downward pressure. The market basically tries to continue to break, in this case, into new lows, right? And fails to do so. And so you have a shape that looks like a hammer where you settle well off, the intraday low. So that is typically, like a bullish reversal. It's an indication that the bears are losing control. And take a look. You took a shot at getting back into oversold territory and couldn't do it. I think if this starts to turn here, this momentum, the one on top, that starts to be indicative of, a move up, right? And I think it depends too, like, where do you want to draw this trend? Whoops, what's going on here, man? I mean, you just want to buy it, right? Like, you're buying it. Hammer's bought it. The hammer formation has actually taken shape, and you've buying it.
Buying Dec Corn.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. Looks like it's got the makings of a W, and two, like, what's interesting about it is that, to your point, that low has been tested twice,
Right.
right? So
if you do buy it, I think you know that you're wrong at 512.
there you go. You took the words right out of my mouth, right there.
Boom.
You know you're wrong at 512.
Yeah.
Right. And so but then conversely too, like, what's a target here? And I think it's at least completing this W, which would be, let's just right around here, right? So let's just say 535, right? So let's say you buy it on the open at 521. You've got 15 cents worth of potential upside versus, 9 in terms of downside. I mean, that's a nice little risk reward play right there, right? And if you break through this, this part right here, well, then, you got to be thinking about potentially retracing it all the way back up to here, right? Because there's, like, that to me is where I think in jeopardy of, where this market could go should you clear this area right here. But I think the next step is to go test this 536, 535. So yeah, give it a shot. Give it a little buy ski. You buying some?
If we do break through there and settle above there, you do think the next testing point is about 570. That would technically complete the W formation, right?
Yeah, I think so. And I think, like, it's where this market clearly began to trend lower, right? You had the double top here and then here and trended lower. Now we broke out of that. You've got a hammer. That's a clear sign of a market that is very supportive, right? So I think you've got, some odd, like, I think you've got good, like, risk reward here owning it. So I think the next indication you'd be looking for is, let's say you get an open at 521 or better. So you open higher than the previous day's close.
Yeah.
That, I think, would be a great indication too that there's some strength and some validity to it. So yeah, I mean, maybe you watch it on the open. If you get a 521 or better open, you take a little shot at buying some.
I like that.
So, and that's all we got, right?
Yep. Those are the 4 charts of the day.
Ripping through it.
Just ripped right through it. Well, everybody, we appreciate you being with us on this spectacular tech talk for Wednesday. We have not had anyone contact us about charts lately. So if anyone does have any charts they want to see, please shoot us an email, give us a phone call, let us know, and we would be happy to look at them.
You accept carrier pigeons, right?
Send a pigeon.
Like send a pigeon. One, like, flew onto your windowsill or something like that after you, like, baked a pie, right? Like, you bake pie, you like
Gave
pumpkin,
me a little
right? You like pumpkin,
paper,
like,
looking at Dec Corn. We'd be happy to
you like pumpkin pie. You're like, you put it on your windowsill to cool, and then bam, like a carrier pigeon lands. And
I mean, I don't know about all that, but it sounds like a great time to me.
I don't know. Go get some. At least make a pumpkin pie. I don't know. Maybe start there. I don't know.
Either way, we appreciate everybody tuning in and watching us this week. Big shout out to Joe Schmidt, Bases Loaded. Check it out. Don't forget to subscribe to the channels. But with that, we will see everybody next week. Have a fantastic rest of this week and the weekend, everybody.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.